It's been a while. It's Craig here. Something Clever podcast. Weird couple of weeks. I am in, not recovery. Yeah, fuck it. I'll say it. I'm recovering because I had my first proper bomb. Should I say bomb? I mean, it was a good gig until the last 5 minutes. I'm going to post it too. There was a down on the Gold Coast, which is generally fun. It's tough gigs. It's weird places. The Gold Coast is such an odd place because it's affluent, but it is bogan as fuck. And that's weird to say until you see it in the daylight and you really get it. And then, just getting back on stage. It's weird. I know how lucky I am to be doing it and gigging again, but then to not be grateful because the crowd wasn't great. I can't, and I'm not going to be one of those guys to blame the crowd, but I go weird. What was great, I'm going to put the clip up in here. I'm still trying to figure out a way to cover this woman's face, but essentially someone was heckling the whole night. When they say heckle, they were just drunk and talking all the way through. The sort of people that talk all the way through a show and then go, oh, they weren't very good because you didn't hear anything. And that was rough. It wasn't that rough. I don't know. I'm still kind of processing it. To have come out of the gate after COVID and just have really great gigs and spots, and then to have two rough ones back to back, and purely because of the weird situation in rooms where people are spread apart. You know, humans laugh more when we know other people are laughing. We just do that. It's very odd to see people just laughing out loud by themselves. So yeah, weird situations. I'm still trying to, but it's been huge couple of weeks since the last time I did one of these, and I felt like I didn't have anything to say because things were going so well. Always feels a bit rude while everybody else is kind of doing it rough. But borders are up in Queensland. I'm locked in the good side, which is very fortunate. I'm going to be guest presenting an episode of Backroads on the ABC, which is it's a cute show. They go to a remote towns and they go and purely the reason I got this was because the usual host got trapped in her state and couldn't get out. So it was funny when I was asked, hey, how do you feel about filling in? My entire career is filling in. So I'm pretty cool with that. It's just nice to actually have so little to do. I'm basically going up to Cooktown in Queensland for about a week, and I get to be a diva. I get shown where to stand, pose in front of camera. My only job is to try to articulate the script and stuff and not fall over, but sweet gig. Just another little fortunate thing that's come my way. And anyone that's listening to this and following this, I've got a show coming up with Emma Zammit on the 28th of August at Fritzenberger in Brisbane. If you can, grab it. I'll put the link in. It's already on my page, so if you're watching this, you're probably already onto it. But kind of awesome, 30 minutes, pretty much all new stuff that I've been working on. And Emma's a killer. Emma's a great comedian, and just nice to have someone else up here who made me lift my game as well. You can come a bit, everyone's a bit slack now. But this is weird now because we're getting ready to do 30 minutes of stand-up. Other people would kill for that in a great room. And this is usually when Edinburgh's on. So all the memories are popping up on social media and stuff and reminding me what this month usually was. It used to be such a build. It was 3 years ago now since I was last at Edinburgh. And that was huge. That was the big tour with Brendan Burns, where I learned a lot about the industry that year. I learned a lot about my relationship with Brendan, a lot about gigging on the road in the UK. And that world's gone. It's weird to think about that. 3 years ago, all the stress, all of that sort of stuff, the packed pubs of random people and just taking on these crowds who have no idea who you are. That's fucking gone. Now it's spaced out tables who are full of people that are just grateful to be out. And it's a dynamic we're working through now, still in Australia, very lucky to be doing it. But listen, my friends like Shay Burnley and Desiree Birch and Sarah Callahan, just awesome people. And that camaraderie you build up from not knowing how many people are going to turn up to your show every day, the festival thing, it's just different in Edinburgh because at the end of the day, 2 people turned up, they're Edinburgh fans, so it's going to still be fucking fun. Missing all that. All the invites went out for Perth Fringe, which I thought was odd because wasn't even thinking that was going to be a possibility. To look at that, go through everything, and just think, wow, the idea of trying to do a festival now, so rusty, so odd, just getting back into it. But yeah, there's going to be adventure. This is a huge part of why I'm taking on the Cooktown gig for the ABC, not also because, yeah, not bad coin, given giving this situation that we're all in at the moment. But you need those experiences, and they're so limited at the moment. I realized how much of my comedy and stuff comes from interacting with other humans, and when you're not doing that so often. I've been sitting on stage, sitting too, by the way. I'm using a stool like a cunt. It was just a thing. I've been watching too much Chappelle. I thought I'd try something. Here is a technique to sitting on a stool, and you actually, you see how good the joke is without acting it out or doing anything like that. But I also feel like your personality is missing a little bit from the bit. So I don't know. I tried it. It went good a couple of times, and then it's 50-50 at the moment. Too good, too bad. But yeah, it's such a weird process right now where at the moment I feel like I'm just articulating things I think are good ideas, not interactions that I know are hilarious and relatable. So going to try and lean a little bit more towards that. But yeah, I guess we'll know. I guess we'll know if you want to come along on the 28th. I'm pretty sure that's a Friday. Fuck, I should know that, shouldn't I? But the 28th of August with Emma Zamet, the link will be in the bottom of this clip. And that'll age this video, but fuck it, who cares? Back at the Sit Down in Brisbane, which has been great gigs. So interesting to see how COVID has affected rooms and people and attitudes and stuff like that. But yeah, again, the lucky people that are actually able to perform at the moment. Interesting things happening in the news at the moment. A young fellow named Ziggy Roma, a rapper. What's great is that I know Ziggy from Western Australia. He came to actually one of my first gigs when I would just shit on Aussie hip hop, and good kid. He went on Q&A, which is the ABC's, what is it, the equivalent of it now? It used to be a version of an American show. I can't remember it, Hard Time or something like that, but Hardline. But essentially, 5 guests, a host, Hamish McIntosh, and everyone fields all these really political questions, and there's been a bit of a issue where Ziggy went on and he was censored. Essentially has a song with possibly controversial lyrics, and he was censored. He was told not to perform that song, and because that song was taken out of context. And what great thing about it is that he addressed it on the show. He did it to the host. It came out, they ended up sharing the clip from the show, which isn't that big a deal. It almost seemed like they were proud of it. They were like, hey, this was a really cool interaction. This is something that is inclusive and people would like to watch. Word has it that after the show, Ziggy got ripped by the host saying, hey, don't fucking pull that shit on live. And just hearing the speaking on what's going on behind the scenes, so familiar. And then to see certain people sharing that clip, people that I know within the industry are completely responsible for this sort of behavior, it's crippling. I know I'm trying to be all cryptic and shit, but essentially that happens all the time. You're brought in and you're encouraged, hey, hey, Indigenous comedian, Indigenous journalist or singer or rapper, whatever you are, come into the show and just be yourself, mate. Just be yourself and put it on. And the minute you be yourself or you attempt to be yourself, they're like, pull it back. Ease up, calm down, son. And that happens all the fucking time. It's just nice to see somebody articulating it and talking about it and actually, showing that it happens on a show that's meant to be prestigious. It's a weird shifting dynamic right now because it's happening everywhere. I'm getting an opportunity on a show which I gotta say, Backroads is very white. It's a very white show. It's quintessentially ABC, and it's pretty. It's beautifully produced. It's well written. I am a little bit nervous about how my personality will come across, but it's not a dance I haven't done before. So, looking forward to going to that. We're going to be going to Cooktown and tracing a bike ride through all these mountains and stuff, and it's beautiful spot. There's a bike ride. You meet the locals, all that sort of stuff. But there's also going to be a historically accurate, which I love the name of it, the historically accurate Cook landing in Cooktown. James Cook, who famously ended his trip in Hawaii. So I'm really looking forward to that trip, going back through that process. Been on the radio quite a bit, hosting the ABC, which has been a great gig, just getting back, just talking into a microphone, interacting with humans. It's, dare I complain that, God, you miss the freedom of stand-up. You really do. It's so weird to be lucky enough to get to a point where you're doing what you want to do and then you can't anymore, which I'm sure a lot of people, and it's such a fucking self-indulgent thing to say because there are so many people that can't even get back to doing the thing they hate to do. So again, but in Australia, it's just so different. It's so different dynamically. It's cautious and stuff, and the amount of jobs that are being squeezed out. Sorry, this is becoming all a big COVID chat. I didn't mean to do that. Funny news. Carrie Ann Kennelly got the sack, or did not have her contract renewed, I should say. So that was a big, interesting bit of news that came through. It's just one of those things that in the Australian landscape, there are always opening and closing doors, windows. It's so weird to have somebody that, I don't know, man. I don't know where if you're not sure who Carrie Ann Kennelly is, basically an Australian TV institution that arrests black people. No. That is constant. She's been a TV constant forever. Just one of those old school people that you just kind of like, really, this is what is considered entertainment and talent, and cool, great, whatever. She spoke to a large section of the community, or at least used to, and then she got slung. And it's weird to see how much of this is a reaction to culturally appropriate representation on TV, because this report just came out and everybody's all over it about how I believe it was 75% of all news presenters. I wish I had the exact stats. I'll probably find it, but basically, there's not enough representation on Australian TV if it was in proportion to the actual community that we share, which isn't shocking to anyone that's actually worked in the industry to know that people of color are underrepresented. But if there's an argument to say, let's make it at least as diverse as our community, then the actual rate right now. So I think, 75 to 24% of people 24% of people of color in Australia, and TV is way off that, and they need to get that changed, which for people like myself is working out. But who the fuck is shocked? Who the fuck is shocked that there's not enough people of color on Australian television? But the wheels are turning, things are changing rapidly, and people are noticing, to the point where even people like me that are in the industry kind of look at each other and go, like, how long is this going to keep up? Like, we're not totally sure. There's a lot of paranoia about it. It feels superficial. It's a nice wave caught from the Black Lives Matter marches, but there's not, I don't know, that knee-jerk reaction feels good. We're kind of still in the base of the wave. We haven't quite hit the crest yet. But it's an interesting situation to sit back witnessing, because there's, again, and I'm the most cynical person now, expecting it all to fall arse over real quickly. But who knows? We'll see what happens. So I'm going to be testing certain new material out on this new show. Nervous. I don't know about how to get back into the groove of things. I'm finding not only the audiences are changing, I'm finding comedians and comedy is changing as well. There seems to be this undertone, this movement, essentially of people who are standing in front of a crowd, dropping their stuff, and then turning it on the crowd, which, again, I won't say I'm old school. I'm too new to be old school. I've only been going for 6.5 years. But I'm an old school sort of a person, so... But what I'm saying is that there are comics that get on stage, drop their stuff, do their jokes, and then turn to the crowd and say, oh, well, if you don't like that, then you hate women. Like, they turn it on, well, then you're sexist, you hate trans people. Basically, they do their stuff, and then instantly blame the crowd or the people watching for not giving the reaction they feel that it deserves. And that's kind of fucking weird. There's more than a handful that are coming through. There's quite a few coming through right now who are being enabled to believe that if you don't find their stuff amazing and poignant and hugely entertaining, then you're the problem. And I don't like that. I don't like pandering to there's pandering, but there's this fine line. But I also feel like you can't have this discussion. I'm not going to be one of those, you got to tell you anything. Yeah, you can. If it's funny enough, you can say whatever you want. But there is this wave. There is this movement of people coming through who aren't that funny, but cover a certain aspect. And essentially, they're just odd conversations, and I get people throwing sexism around. I got called a chauvinist. Oh, by this fucking woman I'm going to chuck in the video. She called me a chauvinist, and then wouldn't answer why during the bit. I'm going to put up the clip of her reacting, realizing I was recording my set, and then it was the point where she realized she'd been an obnoxious drunk cunt the whole time. Which, great, cool. We'll roll with that. We'll go with insults. We'll go with behaviors, but at least I've got photographic proof as to who was actually being horrible. I can't wait to put that up, man. The hecklers are so bad at this particular gig. Another dude too, quite a large drunk fella on a date, which I feel that it wasn't that strong a relationship. Like, they'd been out a few times. They decided to go here. He kept drinking, was getting aggressive with all the other acts. And I asked him about it, and his date started laughing, which is never a good sign for the chat they're going to have after the gig, which will usually result in a breakup. Safely. Hopefully just safely they break up and nothing bad happened. But yeah, man, what a rough gig. I'm going to turn the light on. The light's dying out. I thought I'd get a happy hour and everything would look pretty. But yeah, the light's just dying out. There we go. And that's not very cold. Off the flour, the sugar, and the milk too. So I'm trying to get TV slim for this fucking I hate the way when I know I'm going to be on TV, I just lose what I feel would be my mature, comfortable Craig persona just disappears the minute I know I got to be on TV, because I just want to I want to look all fat and shit. But yeah, so altering the diet, getting fit. I'm not writing enough stuff. It's an odd thing, man. There's so much stuff in the news where I should be paying attention, but you just kind of worn down. I don't know about you, but everybody else, yeah. So many projects coming forward, and I'm hitting that point where I'm sure everybody else is, but there's peaks and troughs when it comes to comedy, when it comes to life in general. And that's that fucking kookaburra. I hope you can hear that. This stupid bird keeps smashing into the window, and we're taking it on. Gotten really rural in the last couple of days, just going out chopping wood and shit, and just, I don't know, looking for something to do, looking for some sort of motivation or inspiration, because there isn't a lot out there. There's not a lot to be inspired by comedically. There's a lot to be outraged by. There's a lot of stuff to be engaged by. But yeah, I guess maybe this is just that lack of interaction with human people, like with humans, to gain any sort of, call it material. I don't want to be one of those guys that only has experiences so you can write about it, even though that definitely happened. Went out to a horse property with my wife and see her friends and family, her friends' family. It was a 40th and a whole bunch of horsey people. Fuck, I don't fit in. I try to be really good. I try not to be one of these weird people who sit in the corner and don't engage. But man, it's hard. It's so hard to come to parties where you don't have in common with any people, and all you can do is be polite as you can. I failed. I mean, I was polite. I didn't offend anybody, but it was hard. It was hard going, and it's so weird too, because I'm still getting followers and friends from people that follow my comedy through the horse video and other stuff that I've put up. And the horse doco is probably, hopefully that's going to work out all right. But yeah, I just don't have anything to talk to people about. Sarah's horses keep fucking around. Sarah, I should tell my wife's name, but they just keep doing asshole things when she's not around, so I got to go take care of it, and I'm terrified of horses. I keep making it out like I'm comfortable with them. Every time I assert myself, they do one little move and it makes me shit my pants, so I'm not particularly brave with the horses. But yeah, they get getting themselves caught on fences, and I got to keep sorting it out because she disappears, goes to work, and momentarily. And again, they don't do anything that drastic until she's gone, and then I got to go deal with it. Ugh, it's I don't know. I think I'm having the normal reaction to something that big that could kick the fuck out of me. So what else is there to talk about? This is what I mean. I really wanted to come up with a nice, informative podcast because we do have the show coming up, and there's a lot of things I want to talk about and test out. But then once I get on here, I don't know. I just went a bit blank. Wouldn't say I'm missing Western Australia, but this whole Clive Palmer thing has been cracking me up. Clive Palmer is a billionaire miner trying to get into WA, and legal challenges and stuff like that. It's what's crazy about this whole situation, right? With this mining magnate who was a politician, has political parties, taking on the West Australian government, trying to bring down borders and allow people in, and really stressing people out, but nothing but personal gain, is that come the next election or the next window where he will get politically active again, he will trudge out the line of being for the little guy and this is a dude who legit is suing or threatening to sue for $30 billion. It's crazy watching how many people forget all that sort of stuff and actually fall for the diatribe that comes the next. It's so weird. And watching like what's going on in the States, I mean, they're going to be voting in November. And the amount of people that are going to forget all the awful things that have happened. I think I saw a video where Sharon Stone has lost 4 members of her family to COVID and trying to get people to vote against Trump. I'm just like, which is huge. Like that's enough to change a bunch of people's opinion. I don't know how many people value Sharon Stone's opinion, but what's blowing my mind is the number of people that will see that and not be swayed away from their party. And that happens everywhere. And in Australia, like we have such a short attention span when it comes to this sort of stuff to get politically active. Everyone will just be getting over COVID and getting back to normal. I mean, state-wise, whoever's in power now will probably stay in power. Whereas federally, don't know. No idea. I can't predict these people. I did see my mate Bill Shorten back on ABC trying to be all clever and stuff. He was on a panel show, Insiders in the Morning, just trying to talk down the Morrison government and had all these forms. He was just being really affable and stuff. I was like, bro, when was this 2 years ago? It was something so disingenuous. But crazy part is they rely on people to have such short memories, and it fucking works. You should be like me and just hold a grudge over nothing. That really does come in handy. But, yeah, so we're going to be, oh, man, it has been so hard. I'm going to try something different the next Sunday when I'm back on hosting the radio. So lately I've been trying to think up ways to engage radio listeners who are generally older people. And I don't want to say it hasn't gone well. It's been great. Feedback's been lovely. People just don't listen to radio Sunday evenings. But I am going to try something different and I'm 38. I'm not a child. I'm going to try and just talk about things I'm interested in and see who else is out there. Could go well. Could go disastrously. But I don't know. You got to just try something different. What's the harm? It can feel a little bit lonely. But this is the thing about when you do a joke and you get a big laugh, you're like, oh, fuck, so people get this. People actually understand. Maybe some other people think like this. It's the best sort of indicator that that's the case. I don't know. But listening to a lot of podcasts. Oh, man, I'm pretty sure I've spoken about this before, but I am on this fucking binge, this rabbit hole of just watching African Americans react to music. I don't know why I find it addictive. Maybe because I just don't have anybody else to play music with or anything. I've been buying up a bunch of music and listening to stuff, and I don't know. I had a musical guest on the radio. His name's Costa. He's going to be on this coming Sunday. And just going through the list of the music, which is always great. I remember when I got into broadcasting, what got me out of the trucks and got me into radio, which eventually got me into the journalism, was just presenting a blues hour of radio on community radio. And then to sit across from somebody who loves music and talk shit, man, we filled that hour so quick. And I don't know, it's also like finding a comedian that kind of you gel with, like you just bounce off. I don't really have that here in Brisbane. In one way it's good. In one way it's good. Another way it's a bit disheartening. But yeah, I'm looking through things like lineups that are coming up and stuff like that. And dare I even complain about my situation when there are people who literally have nothing? So I'll shut up about that. I was about to go on that particular tangent. I hope you guys are doing well out there, and anyone that's listening, I wish I had more content to contribute, but the last 2 weeks has been such a beige, bits of good news here and there, promising things, but in the build-up to like having 2 bad gigs was probably the highlight of the last 2 weeks, and they weren't even that bad. It was such a placid beige sort of couple of weeks where I'm worried that are we kind of all spinning our wheels looking for inspiration, whereas even the news is looking for, like, I'm sure there's amazing, brutal, horrible stuff that should be discussed and brought in, and it's just really hard to engage at the moment. So the more I say this, the more I'm starting to realize why crowds might be a bit more quiet these days. Maybe we've kind of forgotten how to interact with each other at the moment. And a huge part of it is when you laugh, you put your hand on somebody, or not that, but we're losing our humanity, our connection, our ability to connect a little bit. I'm just clinging to fucking shit. I don't know. But it was my little bro's birthday the other day, and I realized it's been fucking 4 years since I've been up that way where he lives. It's crazy how much time is passing. Like the last Edinburgh, all this stuff is just going by in a flash when things are going so well here. And news that Christmas may be the next chance that people actually have to get out and cross states and cross countries in Australia. This is all very up. So I don't know, man. I'm just going in circles trying to think about what to talk about, where to go, what to do. And literally it's probably just easier to plan 12 hours at a time. Not look too forward ahead. I will tell you though, before we go, I've put my old 4-wheel drive, which I had this big obnoxious Land Cruiser named Bruce, which I've had for 10 years. Best car. Awesome. I haven't looked after him as well as I should. I finally decided to put him in and get a whole bunch of work done. And the minute I do that, state lines shut down. All the parts they need are from interstate. So 3 days have now been 5 weeks trying to get my car fixed. And again, this is something I want to scream about. I want to complain about. Then I realize, I can afford to do that right now while other people are still struggling to find work and eat and shit. You know what I want? I want to be able to complain. Thank you. It's taking me 30 minutes. It's taking me 30 minutes to ramble, trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. I just realized I want to be able to complain. I miss it terribly. There you go. There's a revelation. I promise my show with Emma Zammit is going to be tight. It's going to be hard. It's going to be brand new stuff. If you're in Brisbane or around the area, you know somebody in the Brisbane area, click the link below. Come and check it out. It'll be an hour and a bit of good stuff at Fritz and Burger with good chat comedy. Emma Zamet, myself. It's going to be cool. It was glad I did this. Glad I got back. I think, man, those bad gigs fucked my head quite a bit. But yeah, trying to get back on board. I hope you're well. Maybe I'll have something more poignant next time.